is also continuing to develop as we move on to our last match. It is going to be Zhym versus Viper. Our fourth and final match of the day before we kick it over to TJ and Frodan on the Americas region straight after is going to be the aggro warrior / pain warrior with the Grom in there. But this is more of a standard list, isn't it? Sort of looking at 2 obs as far as the eye can see.
Yeah, and live wire lances back in instead of wrench calibers, no blastmaster boom. But come on, team, we need to get a handle on this warrior thing. Why is this now an aggro warrior? Can we just pick one and stick to it? Come on. Same
no.
Okay.
Apparently. One thing I will say is it's a minus egg plus Tolve, which is the key difference from what you may have seen most of the time. And I feel like this is still really up in the air. I know most players are leaning towards Grom at the moment, but I do still see people streaming, and a lot of it is no eggs warrior or eggs warrior. It's just like really like one or the other. It's just like a really question of how you do want your breakfast.
How do you like your eggs in the morning? I like mine as an injured.
Yeah. Or just, I don't. But there we have Galacron Rogue here for Viper. Just having a quick look around the list. It's the secret package, but with a 2-2-1 breakdown with a double dirty trick, similar to I believe we saw Tice earlier today. A single cut to the Devoted Maniac makes sense. Honestly, it looks like another extremely standard list.
I knew you were going to.
There's a double spy mistress, to be fair.
If I knew you were going to do the 2-2-1 thing again in this series, I wouldn't have made the formation joke all the way back in series number 1. I would have saved it for this perfect moment. Because once again, we are dealing with Zhym, who has newly been picked up by Barcelona Esports. Yes, that Barcelona. So it's obviously a big deal for him, and they've been doing great, honestly, and like publicizing the game to all their followers and their new player that they picked up, and they've said, right, today's the big day. You get to see him in action for the first time. So here we are. Zhym has something to prove still, I think, because he hasn't performed particularly well in the last couple of weeks.
It was pretty crazy. I saw the sign and was like, is that actually who I think it is that's signing Zhym? Clicked on it, I was like, oh, okay, that's a couple of followers on that Twitter account. Yes, it is who I thought it was. Wow. So yeah, really, again, just really incredible. I think Zhym, based on his performance in the past year and also his performance so far in Grandmasters, it's just great to see him picked up, honestly, and picked up to such a crazy team. So looking forward to see how that pans out in the future. But here we see the interesting take here, the Demon Hunter ban versus the Warrior ban. What do you make of that, Sol? Is this Mage versus Warlock really the defining point between those two different bans?
Yes, absolutely. I think, honestly, that's what we've seen step by step throughout the day, because we saw the series that was Demon Hunter bans, and they both had mages in it, for example, and then we saw the series that was both Warrior bans, where neither of them did. Now we have one going up against the other, and you can see those bans interact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But that does very much seem to be the plan that people are on here. It's either bring Mage, ban Demon Hunter, or bring Zoo, ban Warrior. So now we're seeing like the two core strategies clash head to head.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see which one pans out. I believe the players are just about getting ready to go into their game. I'm excited for this one. Viper, this is a Division B match, correct?
Yep.
So Viper was another player last weekend who had a chance at swooping into Division A, but did not quite make the cut. So again, Viper, although performed reasonably throughout the 3 weeks of Swiss, just didn't quite make it coming down to that last weekend. So unfortunate for him. Zhym, again, great start, I think, but just petered out towards the end of the Swiss portion. So has it all to make up for in these weeks of round robin now. Because honestly, Swiss is done. It's dusted. The decisions have been made. Who's in Division what? And they've got to forget about it now. It doesn't really matter. Now they've got to make the round robin count.
Yeah, Zhym finished 10th overall, so he was, pretty much on the cusp. He was only 1 point away from being involved in that, tiebreaker insanity that we got on the last day between Boston and Psycho and whoever else came into it. So you can see that he was right there on the line alongside Viper himself, who was in contention on the last day. The only reason Zhym wasn't in contention in the last week is that he wasn't qualified to play the Viper odds. But still, both very, very close, and you can see the fine margin between 4 playoff spots and 2 relegation spots, and 0 automatic relegation spots. Just a single matter of 1 point, or in Boston's case, 0 points between him and Division A.
You're really coming down to tiebreakers there for Boston, Psycho, and Felkine. On the previous weekend, you can catch up on all those VODs as well if you want to see what actually happened. Just go to Hearthstone Esports. There's links to all the VODs for all the matches there. But yeah, there we go. You have those 2 players getting ready, and just to reiterate as well, as we are in round robin for this week and the next 3 weeks after, you will get to see all of the players play. We didn't have that in the Swiss, it was just the top 8 that was on the broadcast for the weekend, but that has changed now. So even if you didn't see as much of your favourite players that you may have wanted to over the past 3 weeks, that will change in the next few weekends. So tons of Hearthstone, tons of players, tons of exciting games, because already I'm excited to see, after just day 1, Sottle, I already thinking, what are players going to bring next week? You know, in reaction, because this is where the format's stuck to Conquest for 4 weeks. Now the players are going to start reacting to what happened the previous week.
Yeah, generally it's been that way in GM seasons, right? Like, Combo Priest didn't appear until a couple of weeks in and wasn't completely widespread.
6 weeks in APAC.
Yeah, if it wasn't completely widespread in APAC at all, still isn't. Just never reached there, apparently. Same with, like, Cyclone Mage all the way back in Season 1, right? It took people a couple of weeks to find the good list for that deck. I think it's different because we're in a slightly older metagame, I would say, coming into this. But there's been so many, you know, small adjustments to, like, Demon Hunter in particular, that I don't think the meta has particularly had that long settling period. It's been being shook up on a week-by-week basis up until this point. So maybe there are still just, you know, 1 or 2 twist decks left to discover.
Even archetypes and builds, right? There's about 5 different types of Pain Warrior, 3 or 4 different types of Rogue. You know, Priest, I think Galacron Priest still has a way to go if that's the route people want to go down. People playing Face Hunter, Highlander Hunter, Zoo, Galacron. There's so many playable decks right now. I just feel bad for Paladin Shaman that's just been left out in the cold, but we'll see if that changes in the future. But for now, game 1 starting. Sorry about the slight delay. Players getting ready there, but we have plenty of stuff to talk about. Zhym on the top there on the Warrior. And the Viper, Rogue. And as I mentioned before, I don't know if it would picked up too much, Sottle, but secret package, but with Spy Mistresses in the list. And Spy Mistress is a card I'll never be upset if someone includes in any row.
Yeah, good card. Whether it's aggression, whether it's delayed removal, whether it's an activated for Greyheart Sage, if that's the deck running, which Viper isn't, just a ton of utility, and it's just got good stats for a 1-drop. They're just in the traditionally wrong place, and it has stealth. Great, sign me up. Like, it doesn't matter if it's skewed towards attack.
You're not feeling the Van Cleave then, Sal?
Sorry.
I was thinking about the Van Cleave last turn. Viper.
Just coining it straight up.
And backstab.
Okay. To be honest, I'm not sure what board state was. What was there on the other side?
Nothing.
Oh, you want to backstab your own guy?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I will say Zhym's not playing Executes in his list, so it's not like Van Cleef would have been easily dealt with. I don't know. I think you always have to look at Van Cleef when there's coin and backstab in your hand.
See, I got confused. That's why I sort of went, I don't remember the board state. When you said backstab coin Van Cleef, I was like, well, yeah, obviously you do that. Like, why didn't it happen? But then, okay, when there wasn't a minion on the other side of the board and you're backstabbing your own guy, yeah, okay, I kind of understand why you did it.
Is it happening this time? Backstab on the forward. Ooh.
Stop trying to make backstab your own guy happen. It's not going to happen.
One day. In the meantime, though, very seriously, Zhym has a bit of a problem.
He does.
Because Viper's running the secret package, and that secret could be Bamboozle.
If it's Bamboozle, it's on average not that bad for it. Right?
Because
a 6-drop?
Yeah. Yes. The problem is when it's not Bamboozle and he thinks it is, though, right? Because then he just goes into Van Cleef, takes 6. He's like, oh, awkward.
Well, if he does
that's why it's so sick.
If he does that and that happens, you can then Corkron the remainder of the Van Cleef.
I'd still feel embarrassed.
I mean, sure.
But that's what he has to do. He has to consider. What he can do is play Corkron first, if he's committing to this, see if it's ambush, and then work from there. Which in serious talk, this makes sense, because now he tests for the secrets before he works out whether it's Bamboozle. And now he has full information, and this turn looks way better. So honestly, good job for Zhym. That was a bit of a weird turn. and I think he navigated it pretty well.
Okay, only concern I have is after he inner rages his own core crop. If Dirty Tricks then doesn't go off, what does he do then? When he knows it is bamboo.
Probably still just Corcrons the Van Cleave. It turns into a
Corcrons
6 drop, and a 6 attack Corcron probably kills it.
Okay.
Which I think if he's going to start that chain of events, you just commit.
Yeah, so I was thinking for like full coverage that you inner rage the Spy Mistress instead.
Someone's got to lead the charge.
Which you do then end up taking extra damage because you have to swing into the Edwin, but it does cover more eventualities because you get up to 7 damage.
That's true. That's true.
6 drop if it happens, but very minor.
Either way, I think he navigated it very well there.
Agreed.
That,
yes.
That is where what you mentioned earlier today, Subtle, on ladder. If that was just a warrior player, they'd probably get themselves in a terrible spot and lose straight away from that point. Whereas Zhym, I think, obviously it hurt, but he pulled it off well. And look at his hand. Fantastic.
Yep. 6/6 Edwin down. Board under control. Plenty of health still to play with.
Armor Smith in hand with a risky skipper. No secret to activate this Blackjack Stunner yet. And honestly, not too much to do. And maybe Shield of Galakrond is just very good versus this board. Because it either trades the wrong way and you get a free Shield of Galakrond back, or the Death Rattle has no effect anyway. I just went for Seal of Fate instead. Interesting. Is he scared of duplicates? And is this just a respect factor for the archetype he's playing against? That if you leave minions on the board, things can get way, way, way worse than you just tanking for?
I think that's a big part of it, yeah. I think also just, 5 mana 4/5 is kind of slow into this. I think they can blow past it pretty effectively. He does have his full Galakron set up, essentially. That was 3 that he just played. So if you're going to play that curve, maybe it's better to do it this way around. You clear this board, and then you go with your shield on 6, and then you go with your Galakron on 7.
Yeah, and he has lackeys to fill that out all the way as well, even if he needs to divert a little bit. So he's got plenty of lackeys to fill the curve as well. So I can see this.
The other concern that might have played into it is hand size as well. He might have been trying to dump cards that turn so that he can play Galakrond quicker, since he does have such a turbo invoke curve.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Even though it's not exactly that many turns in the game, I did not realize Galakrond was as far ahead as he was. I played too much Highlander Rogue.
Yep, 2 ofs Rogue just gets there.
Discover a Battle Rage. Yes, I would like to play 3 Battle Rages in this deck, please.
So yeah,
It's just lucky.
It does work out. So he plays a lackey now that plays himself. Goes down to 7. He's going to draw up to 8 next turn. No, and the Loot Hoarder! He already couldn't play the turbo curve though. I mean, you can. But he wouldn't.
I think most importantly as well is Viper doesn't have to play it, does he? He has Tog plus Lackey. That, honestly, at this point, could even go into the Crown option and just say, I'm going to make big, or at least hopefully, some big stuff. Because Zhym's not exactly been playing aggressive. Even a risky skipper combo might not kill the minions you summon from Crown. And then just play that kind of aggressive style.
You are kind of a Crown gamer, huh? It's like the
I don't know why. It's
like the 3rd time today I've heard you bring that up.
I'm just latching onto it, and I've not really got a good reason for you. I mean, it makes sense in this matchup to a certain extent. If you're expecting a reasonably sized legendary to come out, then Warrior doesn't do unlimited damage with these combos, right? It is 3-ish.
Yeah, I mean, that is the problem. If you could reliably, ensure that I got like the 6, 7, 8 health plus minion, sure, sign me up. But, that isn't the reality. A lot of the time you get like 5.
And I think the point about the card draw as well, that is if he goes Crown and he has Galakrond. Like, he's even playing this stuff?
Yeah, it costs 0. You can play it really easily. It's
Well,
not a
regardless,
joke. It's a real point.
yeah, that's true. I mean, his hand's already full, but yeah, you are right. One skipper's come down with an armor smith, and I'll say only 8 armor, but that's not a lot, actually.
So many.
You consider
options.
skipper and armor smith's been dropped, so Viper play this armor smith up has got away with this turn a little bit lightly, I think. Versus some of the armor gain you can get as this warrior.
Yeah, I do think Viper needs to fight and find some hand space here, which his deck is not really cooperating with right now, as it feeds him a very expensive reborn minion out of the Pharaoh Cap.
It's a shame as well, because it's probably a minion he does want to get down pretty soon, but it is his whole turn this turn now if he does it, so I understand it bailing a little bit. Ambush is a good secret, though, to just chuck down, honestly. Unless he... See, this is the issue. Like, oh, he could just play Ambush, it's probably going to be pretty, at worst, okay. But then he doesn't have a Blackjack Tapper available.
Yep.
Stunner, even. Which, again, is a bit of a problem now. So if this is proc, which almost certainly will be, then the Stunner's kind of just stuck in hand unless he wants to play it as a 1-2.
Right.
Definitely a tough hand to manage. Ah, Zhym deep in the tank now as he's like, I have a lot of cards, and this deck is hard.
What now?
What do I do?
That seems to suggest he's going skipper number 2, Armor Smith Battle Rage. I think just about has hand space for.
You fell right
He
into
can
my
take care of the
trap.
ambush minion in a variety of ways
Show
after
you
that.
who's boss.
Yeah, as long as Zhym plays Battle Rage this turn, definitely, then it's probably going to be okay. But I do think he went through a lot of options in his mind then.
And he did the same last turn as well before he ended up the turn that he ended up with then.
It's a hard hit.
Dark in the
Now though, there is the
There we
slight
go.
fear factor. Yeah, the slight fear factor with Grom being available for Zhym. Now he can do some burst, potentially with the help of an Inner Rage. But most importantly, as you said, Viper's got this Galakrond down, and that is some 0 mana stuff that gets him more stuff.
Still has 2 secrets remaining, I believe. Which secret was Viper playing 2 copies of?
Give me 1 second. We'll triple check. He is playing the 2 Ambush and 2 Dirty Tricks and
Oh, okay.
1 Bamboozle. So he's doing the 2-1-2 format.
What?
Then he has 3 secrets remaining, so he's staining. So still very good odds to start. Get a real pop-off turn out of that Hanar at some point.
Darkness wanes.
Looking at where he wants to send this weapon as well, and if he wants to rush,
I never lost.
he might need to get this armor smith up on board as well. Then again, the Blood Bowl Brute's a touch scary as a Blood Swan mercenary target as well. Oof!
What has occurred here? Viper, did you get through it all?
Got the swing right, yeah.
It looked very sloppy towards the end.
It's like the Marge's ants.
What?
The,
Oh, I see. Right.
What now?
Similar to Zhym last turn, though, honestly. Like, you saw Viper just divert 3 times with 10 seconds left on the rope. You know, Zhym left himself a good chunk of time to be able to get it all done. Viper really had to scramble in the end. Got there, though,
Yeah.
more or less.
Yeah, and now with this, with the risky skipper on board, with health not being an issue for Zhym because of the armor smith sheer value, all Zhym has to do is, how do I get this Grom to hit the face? Because he is getting very close to finishing this game right now.
Your laws are
I like this. Did he just execute as well? Whew. I think I like the execute. Yeah, I like this a lot.
And then value bumps.
Yeah, just
Bombs,
do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna run out of board space though.
Yeah, I think, although it's a bit messy.
Oh, that was just
okay.
wrong.
Yeah. Okay. The outcome wasn't fantastic, but my overall point with the execute is, if he executes that, which opens up some more damage, on paper, then you won't need to execute anything else for the rest of the game anyway, right?
Maybe.
I think is
Probably.
the overall plan. Still missing the inner rage, though. That Grum.
Yeah, has
His
played one
two
already
risky
as well.
skippers gone now, right?
Both skippers down.
Yeah, so he can't do, like, skipper Grom just to activate.
What about?
Last few
Although not-
turns have just been a little bit sloppy from both sides. Some rope issues, some indecision issues, and then just an actual like mechanical play part of Zhym.
I will say, though, with both players making a few missteps, I think I'd rather be Zhym on this side, because the battle plan is very straightforward at this point, whereas Viper, I feel, has a bit of a puzzle box he needs to unlock.
Freaking transmogrifier. Oh boy.
Remember that came up in our testing, and I was like, can't kill this. Zhym just digging.
Outrage again for 3 more. There's only 8 cards left when he ripped it, so decent chance finding an inner rage.
I was wondering whether he should have blood swan this. No, he didn't. First. Sorry, not instead.
I challenge you to Mascara!
Wait 10 minutes while this fight finishes.
Yep.
All face. All of the time.
I think the fact that he still had Rampage left in his deck makes some sense as to why he would like leave that option open as well, right? Like why
Okay, yeah.
Blood Swan first when you can also, if you allocate the mana first, you can't actually Grom on that turn, which I don't know if that shuts off any immediate lethal out. Mage, Grom innervate that turn, bomb explosions and stuff.
Yeah, I think for that the bombs would have to go well, which means you wouldn't do it.
Well, you'd probably still trade the bombs and see what happens, right? If you drew the inner rage.
I guess. With only 5 cards left in the deck. Viper on very low health. Zhym is looking like he's in a position where it's hard to lose right now, although that is famous last word, so we'll see what happens. Viper does have some defensive capabilities with this Kartuk Defender. He'll be able to heal him a little bit. He doesn't have a secret for the Blackjack Stunner. It's tough.
What
And
if?
without the secret, he's actually very limited on how he can deal with this board.
He is, yeah. It looks like he might end up just never getting value out of this Ice Baron Togbagger, despite having Nackies and Togbagger in hand for basically every turn since then.
Wasn't given the window, was he? Played the Galakond and the Tog.
It wasn't.
You're trying to impress me with your use of Twas. I know. But the effort was there.
It was.
It was one of my favourite moments in the whole thing, actually.
Quite literally, 0 rehearsal.
Wait, now we're crossing over.
Yeah.
Use the rush there just to reduce down the big threat, or the bombs are still an issue with the ball. Still not looking fantastic. Even just the Galakond's Gal last. A little bit rough. Not that it would have necessarily changed the turn overall. Evaluate the post bomb world.
Okay.
Our tombs.
Seems better to just drop the challenger now. Because you can go. Yeah, here we go. 'Cause you can go face with the weapon, right? Or Zhym can go face
Challenger
with the weapon.
cannot
Apologies.
fight your opponent's face to death.
I challenge you to
If your opponent just has a weapon equipped, it's fine. If they don't, they just die.
Yeah.
So fun. But it's a very slow animation, so it literally just goes
I've got more left in me.
30 times.
Yeah.
I'd love it.
But yeah, actual point being, the root of that dumb statement is, use your removal that can't go for as opposed to using your weapon that can go face when you're pushing
I'm
things
almost out
aggressively.
of cards.
Yeah, like one of the evergreen rules of Hearthstone, like AVT.
Face go minions, minions go face. It's literally the opposite in this scenario.
Hey. Also, does Zhym just not run in a rage, or is that literally his last card?
I'll check. In the off
He has
chance
one
that he's
left,
only
right?
running one.
No, he's
Running two,
but
if he's running two, he has one left.
okay. Because I was like, yeah, we've not missed 2 in a rage, have we? That would be embarrassing.
What if?
Viper's missing a secret right now. Well, it's been missing a secret for a long time, because I think if he got these blackjacks done as active a little bit earlier this game, it would look very different.
Yeah, for sure.
It would have given him so much room to maneuver instead of having to just about survive every turn.
Yeah, he even threw away a Hanar just as a rush lackey minion that would have helped pop off, get some defense up, find a flame ward or something like that to deal with a board state.
Darkness wanes.
Yeah, it's one thing that's maybe not talked about too much, but yes, Hanar is the big and never-ending secret turn, but it also, even if you just use one secret with it on board, it gives you a secret in hand. You've got something in hand in front. Blackjack. So, just a small little extra there, but it does work out quite often.
Okay,
Did he
Buffalo
miss?
Brute.
Trade, concede.
No, just
There's-
okay. You didn't see it. It is in a rage. I can see it on my screen. It didn't come into the hand. Last card was in a rage. Viper knew it. That's why he conceded.
Yeah, I was just going to say, with the whole deck drawn, then he knew he was dead to Grum in a rage. So, although it looked like, missed attacked with the Blood Bowl Brute, it didn't matter whether he attacked or not.
Yeah.
So, just before everyone jumps on him on that one, it didn't actually matter in the outcome. So, Zhym takes a win with the Warrior. To be expected, everyone deeming Warrior #1 deck at the moment, but still getting the win. It's fantastic, which means he has his Warlock Rogue left. And what have you made of so far today, Sol? Have you been impressed with Rogue? Do you think Rogue is the weak spot in these lineups, just based on a few matches we've seen?
I don't. No, I think it's fine. I think a lot of matchups are pretty 50-50, and it's kind of a bring in the sense that you can't find another deck that isn't slightly unfavored in a lot of those matchups. I think the Rogue Demon Hunter matchup is pretty even. I think a lot of the matches across the board are like that. But it can kind of go the distance against slower decks if that's what your opponent brings. It can compete on tempo with Backstab and Seal Fate if it needs to do that against faster decks. It's a just good Swiss Army knife of the deck that you can bring. So I think it is part of every lineup. Maybe it's the weakest deck when it comes down to it. But so far, I don't really think that's what we've been seeing today, right?
No, it's been seeming very fine, which again, for say, as you put it, a Swiss Army knife sort of deck, being fine is exactly what it's supposed to do, right? It's not supposed to be super weak to anything, probably not super strong to anything either. But with 4 decks, you're always going to have one that performs the worst or is the weakest. As long as that is not literally losing you series, because you can't win with it, then it's going to be okay in the end. But the game is only 1-0 here for Zhym. Still plenty more Hearthstone for you guys to check out. We're going to go to a quick break while we set up a game number 2. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Oh, favorite smell.
私は
パッと思いつかないんですけど、自宅の匂いとかですかね。なんか落ち着く感じがだいぶ好きです。
the smell of some bacons because I really like them. I always have them when I have breakfast in America.
好きな匂いは和室で過ごしてきたことが多かったので畳の匂いです。
好きな匂いは猫の匂いです。
我觉得我比较喜欢的味道 我觉得是我自己。
라벤더 향? 디퓨저로 그거 많이 써요.
Fruit? Like orange?
我还蛮喜欢闻自己的。
What does it smell like? We are back and ready to continue our series between Zhym and Viper. If you're just tuning in, Zhym just took a win with his Warrior against Viper's Rogue, looking pretty strong overall. There's plenty more to play out here. And also, Viper has his Demon Hunter left, so I feel like... What's wrong?
Well,
before.
That gets sloppy overall
Oh,
from
okay,
both
sure,
sides,
sure.
I would say. I just want to clarify that point. But that's fine. You know, you can have an off game, but I just wasn't going to let that one slide.
I will say, though, that Demon Hunter, although Zim's got a win with his Warrior, which is generally to be expected with just the power of the archetype, but Viper has his Demon Hunter as well. So if you want to match the decks up, you would imagine Demon Hunter's going to get a win this series if Viper chooses to queue it early enough. But then we'll really see how the rest of it shakes out. Looks like Zhym will be moving over to his Rogue. Looks like a Highlander Rogue, a deck we've not really seen too much of, as the majority of the lineups, at least European region, are bringing some form of 2-off, whether that is stealth or secrets.
Yeah, there are 16 out of 16 rogues. 12 of them are playing 2-ofs and 4 of them are Highlander. Obviously, the 2-of rogue is split into stealth and secret, and 2 that are just labeled as Galakrond for some reason. I'm not entirely sure what that means. I guess not playing either of the packages alongside it. But yeah, this is the Highlander version. Only 4 people are bringing this version, so it has fallen out of favor a little bit, which I did kind of expect. I think you asked me this direct question on like week 1 or week 2 or whatever, and I said I'm pretty sure 2-of's rogue is stronger, regardless of whether we're going to get into the argument about stealth versus secrets. I think that the 2-of version is a little bit stronger, and it does seem that these people bringing lineups now are starting to agree with that.
Yeah, I feel like the Highlander variant of whichever rogue you play is one you bring because you like it more, as opposed to this is factually a better deck. You know, I feel like the Highlander one is just more of a preference or a style choice, as opposed to a strict better or worse option. So we'll see how it performs. I believe that was an Illidan poll, maybe. We'll see if we get into the game.
It was.
Yeah, it's going to be Demon Hunter versus Rogue here. And we've not really had a chance to talk much about Demon Hunter, have we? So,
No.
What do you make of it right now, Sottle? I'm just going to ask you an overarching question as these players get cooking. But is it still... Would you say it's number 1? Do you think it's too super strong? Do you think it's got any big weak points?
Alright, so all you people who are still complaining about this deck and wanting it to get nerfed more, like, feel free, like, get your Furious keyboard fingers ready, and you can at me and flame me for this. I think Demon Hunter is in a great spot right now in terms of balance. It's a new class, it's a top-tier deck, but I don't think it's the best deck. I think Pain Warrior is the best deck in the game right now. I think Demon Hunter is a tiny bit behind that, but still a tier 1 deck. You want the new class in the game to have a tier 1 deck. That is important. And so I think personally it's in a pretty good spot.
Okay, well, let's see how it can go against the Galacrond Rogue. Off to a great start, though. It's Viper with a flurry of 1-drops to go. And they're not chucking out the Battle Fiend on 1, which seems like a crazy play. But just going for the... how is that not just the 1-drop? But now going for the two 2/2s on the board just puts way more forward and basically requires Zhym to have a backstab to have any effect at this aggressive opening.
Yeah, Zhym might even just refuse here and just hold on to the backstab for the combo potential with the Evil Miscreant. I'd like to see that. But Viper here, yeah, he's not... Essentially, he's exposing a smaller minion to his first threat check for backstab.
Yeah, and Viper... One of the more interesting Demon Hunter builds, actually. In case you don't know, there's a build, generally, is the Tempo Demon Hunter with the Priestess of Fury, which you see in Viper's hand, the Fell Screamer, which is a 4-drop that reduces a demon down in cost, and then just other Demon Hunter cards, right? The normal stuff. Then there's a build with sidekicks and a much lower curve that stops at Skull of Gul'dan and does not have the Priestess of Fury package, which creates a much more consistent early game to do your strong starts kind of like this more often.
Mm-hmm.
Viper's build, get ready, as the sidekicks, we can see that. As the Priestess, we can see that. Does not run Skull of Gul'dan, but it does run a Command the Illidari, which is a 5-mana summon 6 1/1s with Rush. And also summon has 2 Nether Walkers, which is a 2-mana 2/2. Discover? It's not Discover, is it? Just generate a demon. I feel bad. I don't know that. I've literally played with that card. Anyway,
Battlecry Discover a Demon.
Oh, it's Discover. Apologies. So yeah, so Viper's running just a completely Viper build of this deck, which I find very, very interesting because it has more early game, but also the weird late game, and maybe just a lack of middle with the lack of Skull. Very interesting.
Yeah. And so while you're explaining all that, Viper put like 20 power into place.
Yep.
that was fun.
Apologies for my long explanation. It's a crazy deck, but yep, it might be dead.
Yeah, no, it was definitely worth covering. There's a lot of interesting cards in there. But this is Viper, right? This is Viper 101. He marches to the beat of his own drum. Sometimes rightly, sometimes wrongly. He's very, very high on this. You know, Skull of Gul'dan is wrong in this aggro deck. And a train right now. But yeah, the Beaming Sidekick is kind of interesting to me more than anything because Beaming Sidekick is a super high tempo card. And I personally think one of the reasons why Demon Hunter can afford to run it is because they draw so many cards. They can afford to play like such a low value, high tempo card because their hand just ends up so full all the time after that anyway. But Viper is finding his value to support that in very different ways, like with the Discovery Demon instead of just outright drawing cards. But I'm still not entirely sure where, you know, you can look at his hand size and sure, like he doesn't necessarily need more cards when his opponent is dead. But you can see the impact on his resources all of these high tempo, low value cards are having.
Yeah, and that's the big question for me, right? I get the idea behind all the different archetypes. For me, all the early stuff, but then you still run the Priestess of Fury package seems a bit strange. But I will say the extra thing about the Beaming Sidekick is how often have we talked about, especially post nerfs, that Demon Hunter's minions just die because they're all 2 health. Well, Sidekick obviously just negates that massively, completely alters the numbers for the opponent to deal with. So I like this Sidekick is the most common new tech card to the deck that, like, regardless of build, I think most players are running Demon Sidekick. In the meantime, though, Zhym has managed to clear the board, and Viper, as you quite rightly pointed out, has limited resources but powerful ones. So that's the nail here, where Zhym can either defend enough to secure himself a win on the backswing, or Viper with this Warglaive of Azzinoth and the Priestess of Fury, and now the Netherwalker to maybe fill out the curve, has enough damage to just do the final 16.
Yeah, I wonder whether this is just a straight up Warglaive of Azzinoth turn instead, though.
Yeah, I can get behind that, definitely. I think the Netherwalker can be used next turn, right?
Problem is, none of these minions on Zhym's board really seem worthy of a Warglaives of Azzinoth right now.
Is it worth just putting the 3 to face, though?
Yeah, that's the question.
grow
Right?
impatient.
Not entirely sure. I think minion development is probably better. Zero playables. That's a problem.
Short.
This turn was pretty much a hard pass from Viper. Netherwalker's first chance to impress me was failed miserably.
And that's it. You only get one chance for Sol.
This card is now trash forever. I will die on this hill.
Don't show your face round here ever again. The interesting thing for me, though, was the Warglaive to face ever fine because the follow-up is Priestess? Sorry, the follow-up would have been the minion in between, and then what's left over the Priestess of Fury could clean up. Do you think that was just a bit too slow, and that minion development had to be prioritized to just make Zhym do something about it?
Too late. His return is nigh.
I mean, I guess so. It's just, I don't really see it as like any kind of consistent lethal setup, though, is the problem. With Warglaives going face. So I think he had to go for minion development there. It felt right. I was expecting some kind of playable demon to come out of that.
Right. Well, Tiamat's going to come down for Zhym now. Which means he can, most more likely, just Divine Shield rush this. I imagine it's going to be the outcome here. Take down 6-3. Now what? Second Warglaives of Azzinoth. Not really what Viper was looking for, but I guess is either way he looks at the rest of his hand, his turns were used up anyway, whether that be Priestess of Fury or even Warglaives with hero power, and now this Battle Fiend. It's pretty good though, because Viper does have the health to actually tank this, even though he takes 12, but still, this is actually setting up a good amount of damage. Problem is, remove the Battle Fiend and put enough health on the board that stops his Priestess of Fury getting too much value. But Shield of Galakron, Frozen Shadow Weaver, he can freeze the face if he really wants to here. If he freezes the face, it stops the last swing of the Warglaives, which then in turn stops the buff on the Battle Fiend, which means that
in the
you have to take a trade. Pretty good trade. Altruist doesn't cut it. It's going to be Priestess of Fury coming down, and Viper's just going to sit and watch. Tough choice now for Zhym. He's put stuff in the way, but honestly, with the Warglaives of Azzinoth taking down the Tiamat, he's just facing down too much damage. He might actually have to just go all in on this Alexstrasza here. I don't see anything else. He can roll the dice with Galakron, but I don't even know what we would actually need to draw. Especially with Zephyrus already gone.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. It does seem to be Alex or bust.
Nothing else looks like it's ever going to be good enough. Like I don't know what you can draw from Galakron.
Yeah, like Contract Edwin is the alternative, I guess. Just doesn't really seem like it's going to get there.
Life and hope.
Yeah, I like this from Zhym. He might just lose the game here and then, but... Oh! 2 yellow dragons, I thought one was Nazari then. I was like, ooh? Not going to be enough! And just as quickly, and maybe a little bit differently, but just as quickly as we were talking about the warrior getting the win, It was the Demon Hunter just got one as well, so it's all 1-on-1 here for Viper and Zhym. Pretty expected outcome in terms of these two decks, but really now it comes down to all the others, right? It's the Mage and the Rogue for Viper, the Warlock and the Rogue for Zhym, and I think so far we've seen the Warlock really, or at least the Zoo version of Warlock, just take it a little bit in terms of power over the Mage. Not in direct matchups, but just in performance in general today.
In performance overall, yeah, it's looked like Zoo has been a little bit stronger overall for sure. But you know, Mage is still Mage. It's a staple deck in the meta for a reason, and it's capable of winning just about any matchup. Sorry, just a little bit curious. Viper doesn't have any of that like ridiculous tech in his Rogue this week, right? It's just fairly straightforward stealth. We saw the vast majority of his deck, and I remember looking at it, fairly standard-looking secret build.
Yeah, it's pretty standard, nothing too crazy, which again makes a bit more sense when you're playing Conquest, because you just need to make sure you can consistently get a win. You don't have to think about sweeping or anything crazy like that.
It looks like he is going to be going with the Mage instead. Also looking pretty standard, no Water Elemental in this one that we saw from Heist earlier on. Is playing both the secrets that you normally see, Barrier and Flame Ward. Yeah, looks pretty close to what I would label as like the standard build of this deck.
Yes, a small nod just goes to the Imprisoned Observer, along with, as you mentioned, that second secret in the form of Flame Ward, in terms of just more anti-aggressive tools. Whereas some lists don't run the Observer, some lists only run an Ice Barrier, and so on. So you're slightly more anti-aggro, but ever so slightly, nothing too crazy at all. In the meantime, Zhym's Zoo, which is probably something I shouldn't try and repeat too many times, one after the other, because that's just going to confuse me, looks pretty standard. He's running one Shield Bearer, he's got the Flame Imps in there, the Eggs are in there, Zephyrus is in there, so definitely what I would call the French Zoo, we can call it if you want, versus some of the other Zoo lists that we see either in Americas or within the rest of Europe.
Yeah, for sure. They are really like sticking with this Zephyrus for the long haul, it seems.
What would you rather play, Cannon Thread or Zephyrus?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the question that I struggle with. Like if I had to give you a direct answer, probably Zephyrus. But that card has seemed like very Feast or Famine to me. Like some games, obviously, it looks insane. But you have to get very deep in your deck for it to get good, which means a lot of the time a lot of things have gone right for you already, because to get that deep in your deck, they generally have to have.
Yeah, you've been discarded Hand of Gul'dans, basically.
No, don't. It's still good.
Such as? Viper, in the meantime, the Arcane Breath's nice. I do think he has to pull something a little bit better out the bag. Although with no scrapping, Zhym is on more of a general Zoo game plan at the moment.
Right.
And one big difference, again, we'll mention versus if you were watching Boar Control earlier today, this Zoo list from Zhym does not really run charge minions, which means he can't really just say, it's okay, I'll just draw Scrap Imps eventually, buff up all my charge minions, and maybe not OTK his opponent, but do a ton of burst damage from hand. Zhym can't. So the problem he's got now, and the question he has to ask himself is, okay, versus Mage, this is a problem. If I can't buff my guys, do I just play old style Zoo of playing loads of cheap minions early on, try and rush them down?
Yeah, he's certainly got the resources to be getting on with to be able to keep refilling for quite some time, especially when you factor Evil Genius into that as well.
Hey, I got you, friend.
It's very interesting. I think it was... forgive me if I'm wrong. I think it was Possessi in Asia Pacific today that was running Takan in his Zoo. Which
really?
Was
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm probably going to be wrong because it's me and I normally say things that are wrong, but I think it was. And even if it wasn't, it's just an interesting, like, another point, right? Where it's another way to make beefy minions and go into potential late/value game. I just think that there's a lot of ways to build this Zoo-esque Warlock list centered around this Hand of Gul'dan discard.
Useful things, eager to share.
Great target for the Evil Genius. He gets to push a little bit of additional damage here. I guess not. Alright, Evil Genius had other plans.
Evil Genius doesn't share buffs, Sol. Come on.
No. Is he? So Zhym's considering playing a 0-4 Shield Bearer here, just to add 4 points of health to the board. Mitigate some ramp into Reno Relicologist.
I would not mind that at all, honestly. I think that's a really reasonable play here. It's not like he's got to scrap him anywhere in sight. May as well use the shield bearer to soak. Just giving everything as much health as he can, and most importantly giving the highest attack minion the most health, which means it'll require a trade from the Saber plus Reno to be able to fight good at killing him. There is no Reno! There's a deep freeze instead and Zhym. I'm gonna go with unhappy is the response we saw on his webcam there.
Yeah.
Because now, Viper is the slower deck, but is winning on board with just bigger
miles
minions.
ahead on board, yeah.
And we can still see there's Frost Nova and Ray of Frost if Viper just wants to start killing stuff.
And this is definitely like the big glaring weakness of the Shield Bearer Voidwalker build of the deck is, you know, when you don't get any buffs off, you do play the most wimpy individual minions out of any of the builds. Having said that, it is the one I favour myself.
Wimpy Zoo. Diary of a Wimpy Zoo. Is that what we're going to get coming soon?
Sure.
Lackluster.
Yeah, to put it mildly.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's never Netherwind Portal, right? An extra minion. You can't reliably think they're going to play spells.
Yeah, unless Zhym's just going to start, like, hard ripping Hand of Gul'dan for 6 mana. It's not going to go off anytime soon. Yeah. Barrier does seem like the most responsible option, though.
Well, I don't like it. I'm joking. Barrier seems... The good thing here is I don't think Bypass will spend his Frost Nova at all. I think Barrier Ping is more than fine here.
Agreed.
I even think Ping on the 4/4 to just get rid of it. And poke the Shield Bearer. When you utilize the Ray of Frosts in combination, or you utilize one of them even in combination with a Water Elemental to kill it off. Interesting.
Yeah, just completely skip the Ice Barrier that turn, which is another viable option, which admittedly I was not looking at. It does float a lot of mana and it looks a little bit weird, but there's more clearing power that way than he would have got in any other method, so sure. Maybe this is the game for Zephyrus to shine. This is kind of the exact scenario I was talking about, right? Where he is getting really deep into his deck, he's discarding a million Skull of Gul'dans, but he just hasn't really done anything because his minions have been too small.
Yeah, my big question is, how shiny can Zephyrus realistically be? Because in that case, you normally lose it. He hasn't pushed much damage at all. Viper's got all the late game in the world, as Mage does have. Zephyrus Tyrion? Is that really enough?
I mean, maybe he can get a wimpy, unbuffed, pimped board to stick, and then Zephyrus Bloodlust will actually have an impact.
Soul of the Forest, maybe?
Sure.
I just think, yeah. Tough to manipulate, I feel. Being this far behind, though, is the big problem, I think.
It is now active.
I'm waiting for Zhym to go. Yeah, Soulfire is never going to discard Zephyrus.
Yeah, this does look like the setup, right? He can do this a few times if he gets into a position where the board isn't frozen or cleared. More interesting.
Of the south, come to my aid.
The scary bit is where Soulfire unlocks Bloodlust Lethal, so he has to play it first.
Yeah, just to train Zephyrus to even give it to you in the first place. Yeah,
that's the bit where you really hold on.
it shows how out of nowhere it can come. Like, what does he have? 5 on 5 in play right now, so Bloodlust would be 9 more for 14. Soulfire in hand is 18. He's only 5 off, with 3 minions in play, one of which has 0 power.
Can't trade, right?
The light protects me.
I mean, the rush minions trade.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. I meant the 5-2.
Why do you call?
Pretty sure the 5-2 isn't trading.
Maybe even leave the CMAT up.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Not Wind Fury, is it?
No, but then yeah, okay. I think this does make sense because if you leave the Seermat up, you're not using your Divine Shield rush. So I think like you kind of always want to make that attack with the Spire, right? So you might as well just kill the bigger minion and leave the smaller minions in that case.
Yeah, the difference. Yeah, I guess the difference for me was the Divine Shield protects it as another minion that's sticky enough for a Bloodlust.
Mm-hmm.
So it's less likely to die and therefore stick, and then Bloodlust is an extra minion. But yeah.
Perhaps.
This looks like a pretty straightforward Nova barrier, mainly because Viper has access to the Amazing Reno. I honestly think that Amazing Reno might just be the end of this game possible.
It could well be, yeah. Then Zhym will have to be back on the Zephyrus Tyrion plan at that point.
Which I think with Alexstrasza, Caligos, other Alexstrasza, that we can see at least the wallet hand, as some people might call it, probably gets there versus a Tyrion and a Dream.
So
especially now Viper is at the lofty heights of 23 health. I was going to talk about this. Like, rip the barrier to get the full hand buff with the Scrap Imp that you just drew. Seems good. Oh yeah? Really?
So many possibilities.
Clearly the plan was not the plan I thought it was. You really need a lackey this badly?
I think Zhym might just be grasping here. I'm not saying endlessly, but trying to work out, can I get a spell, something, get Ethereal like a Draconic Lackey, play this turn to open up like a Deathwing next turn. I don't know, just I think he's got to reach for something pretty crazy right now.
Okay.
Because that secret is a problem, regardless of whether it's... Because that was one from his deck, right? Secret?
No, this is the thing that he discovered, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. I was going to say,
when
if
Ice
it's from his
Barrier was...
deck, then it's Flame Ward or Barrier, which both are nightmares for Zhym.
No, that's a discovered secret, so Zhym was even considering, Netherwind Portal and Counterspell and all the things it could be when he just ripped his hand of cooldown.
Does it just have to be Tyrion this turn, then you use the carpet and the 1-drops to support him next turn? Has to be, right?
I think so, yeah.
And just try and get Tyrion to hit, or your weapon to hit base every turn.
Yeah.
Use the carpet and rush minions to achieve that.
So
it's not great, but you have options. You got Soulfire and the magic carpet and 1-drop. So
this is what I'm confused about though, because I'd feel a lot better about this plan if our Scrap Imp was going off next turn.
Right.
And then we'd have that big explosive magic carpet plan. 'Cause that sort of 2-turn setup was what I was thinking about. Where I thought, okay, hard cast Hand of Gul'dan here, then we play the Scrap Him, we get a huge hand buff. Sure. And then by the time the hand buff goes off, we have a Tyrion in play that we can then support with the rest of our hand. But Zhym clearly had other plans. He did have a lot of concealed information to deal with that I didn't, because I'm just well aware this is Ice Barrier.
If I could just cast that.
I also knew he was getting Reno'd. He didn't.
The fate of the world hangs in the balance.
Fireball?
It's my instinct.
He can just use his normal arcane until at this turn.
Thought I had more time.
And he can wait. So he's on 1 fatigue next turn, is he?
Zhym's extra fatigues.
I'm just thinking if he arcane attacks now, next turn he can Alexstrasza Fireball. I am living in a world that Caligos does not die, which is a fair assumption.
Seems reasonable, yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter now. Viper's just going to box, isn't he? Target his own target minion with. Okay, he can Soulfire to get a new spell.
Yep.
Problem is, he really doesn't want to discard that Hand of Gul'dan, which means he needs to Soulfire now and hope.
So many possibilities.
Yeah, presuming he doesn't think he's just getting there with Soulfire and damage as well, right? Soulfire might just be the best spell he can have right now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, what's he realistically wanting?
Yeah, he has to Soulfire a minion to refresh it, and it's a priest spell that he ends up with.
No harm in actually Malagosing first, right? If you get Nova, he can Nova instead.
Yeah.
Well, he could Arcane into then Nova. I think that, yeah, no bad outcome. He can still just puzzle box if things look dire. He also has Ancient Mysteries, and I think he's got secrets left, right? Flame Strike.
Flame Strike, same deal. Yeah, he does still have secrets remaining.
Flame Strikes gives Zhym 5 damage weapon with a 3/4 on board. But he can draw a secret as well, which is huge.
He also just has Misdirection in play, which is kind of hilarious in this scenario as well. Things that protect his face from damage are prime interest number 1, and now he has multiples of them, Misdirection and Ice Barrier.
Yeah, and I think although Zhym made it a good effort, I do agree that maybe Scrap Imp was needed, at least to have a stronger chance. But Misdirection on the Snaky Boy. Most importantly, I think that's just too much health, especially when we can see that Viper can self Alexstrasza, and he will never be in a point where he gets caught out, because it's just the weapon plus a Soulfire that's left for damage. He'll always be able to safely Alexstrasza himself to heal.
Yep. He is well aware of everything that can happen now. He knows the cards that are remaining. I'm sure he's deck tracking this accurately, so he knows what the deal is. Nothing here was randomly created. So Viper can just comfortably ride this one out. It's like,
yep, even if now it's just trade, play Alexstrasza, whatever. So I'm Prime might actually just win the game, I don't know. Really, all Viper has to do is just not randomly like open up a way for him to possibly.
No burn.
Polymorph the serpent. Reduce its attack now.
That's more like it.
Yep. After Zhym threw everything he had, Viper still had plenty of stuff to go, and the main thing here, and it is where some of the criticism has come up of the deck. Yes, the deck can't do its best things every single game we ever see it, but when it doesn't get that scrapping going in some of the matchups, it looks a little bit rough.
Oh, what are you, some kind of savage? You're not going to let that man pop off with the Malagos he just got from his random Conjurer's Calling? Come on.
Nah. Especially because he had the Druid Legendary, it makes all the spells cost 1 as well, right? That would have been even funny. But Viper takes the win with the Mage over the Zoo, and been giving Zoo a lot of props, really, just saying how good the deck is. I think we've seen some tweets. I think was it Deathlord that was tweeting earlier as well. That was saying finally people are realizing the value of the deck, and there's more Grandmasters bringing it this week now. But it does have a chance to whiff, honestly, and although it might not do that every game, of course, and it is quite consistent, the games it whiffs, I think, are incredibly difficult to win, dependent on build as well.
Yeah, but I think you can also apply that statement to quite a lot of decks as well, right? Like, all decks can draw badly, and if you've got a bunch of 7 and 8 and 9 drops in your opening hand, you can just lose the game, right? Because that's how your deck is built. In the same way that Zoo only plays a couple of expensive high-value cards. It's kind of the opposite. If they don't get them, then they struggle more. But it's just the case for every deck. And I think the average power level of Zoo, which is essentially just another way of saying consistency. Because consistency doesn't mean anything apart from win rate in Hearthstone. I'm just going to keep banging that drum over and over again into the ground. I think the average power level of Zoo is pretty high. I think it's a good bring right now.
Yeah, I definitely think it's more of a... it looks worse because Zhym just used every card in his deck and couldn't do it. Whereas, most decks that draw badly or have, rough opening hands die before they even get close to the end of the deck. And I think that's why it might look worse than it is, really, because it's literally Zhym used all of his deck and couldn't win. So it looks kind of bad there. But Viper, most importantly, at 2-1 up, only need to win one more game, and he has his Rogue available to him to do that with. So it's going to be a good one. If there's something that Viper can definitely pilot, it's definitely Rogue. Still with his he did lose a game a little bit earlier on, but I do like the Spy Mistress in there.
Yeah, it's very interesting just to see what is, ostensibly a secret rogue, but is just playing the stealth 1-drop just to have it as a good card, essentially, which, does make sense when you stop and think about it, right? There's no reason why you have to pick a side. We can all come and hold hands and have a good time together.
Maybe it's going to be the Zoo again.
Not on board with that plan,
I was going to leave you on that. It is the Zoo list again from Zhym. We can see a few more of these games. Viper has depending on how the game plan plays out for Zhym, Viper either has a great hand or these backstabs do nowhere near enough damage.
Yeah, the problem is when you keep the majority of this hand, and then Zhym goes past into scrapping.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a bit sad. You need some of your own development, I think. I think this can't be more than a 2-keep.
Which 2? You thinking 1 seal, 1 backstab?
That would be my instinct.
I mean, the Conceal of Fate isn't just removal, right? It's removal, card generation, and progression for Galakrond. Costs more, but I think it's way better than 2 backstabs here. Ooh, okay. It's on the 1 keep.
Even 1, okay. I mean, it's along the same train of thought. I would imagine that he needs his own development, not just purely reactive. He just takes that to an even further extreme than I did, which I'm fine with.
And I guess as well, he also has Coin, which opens up more of his draws in the immediate early game, I guess.
Oh, so what you're saying is he should have kept backstab, shadow step, and then he just draws Edwin Van Cleef. And he has to...
It was good, yeah, but...
Yeah.
My only point here, Saul, is if you don't make the keep, then it's never going to happen, is it? Double secrets there, double ambush as well with those secrets for Viper. Which actually is pretty good in this matchup. For a second I was going to go, they're only really 2-3s against Zoo, but 1 with Scrap Imp, obviously the minions have a lot more health, but also Magic Carpet Snipers. is what you want, right? against Zoo. So being able to actually just kill off these carpets, not guaranteed, but have a solid chance is actually pretty sick.
Oh, is it Hanar's time to shine finally, Raven?
Zim will play around it, but I just never play in another minion whole game now. Can't play his ambush if there's one already active.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, honestly, just having Hanar is pretty... Oh.
I never lie, but I never tell the truth.
We're back online!
Twice in as many games as Viper has just played his 1-5 as a 1-5, which, you know, I'm not even, like, slighting the card when I say that, or even trying to. Like, I think if you are going to play Secret Rogue, this is something that you do have to actually get used to doing. It's like, sometimes it's just a 1-5, and that's fine. Like, 1-5 is a pretty good shape.
Yeah, I'll be honest, when I was first started playing it, I was not playing it more or less on curve a lot of the time, whether I had a secret or not, and a lot of the time I kind of wish I did. So I learned that lesson fairly quickly. And just a note there, of course, Zhym playing the carpet into Ardent Squire means that he always had an answer if it was ambushed, no problemo. Pack tactics seems pretty fantastic.
Gotta be pack tactics, yep. More poison snakes.
Yeah, I was gonna say ambush again seems just very solid. Is there ever a question to coin redemption?
There is. There is, because his hand doesn't necessarily need the coin right now.
Yeah.
And his hand doesn't need a cheap secret in hand right now either, which is something else that you need to look out for with this deck.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Go on.
I think it does need coin, because I think coin into flick on this carpet is pretty big.
Sure. Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
I wouldn't normally interrupt you, Sol, you know this. I want if I'm Viper, I want that carpet gone, and I want his mate, carpet number 2, gone as well. I think that's pretty huge.
Yeah, you're right. You are absolutely right.
The fires
This
of
pack
vengeance
tactic.
burn bright.
It has the double benefit of, obviously, if there's a second Hanar, silly things start to happen. But most importantly, whatever it is, it's a 3-3, which is just a good minion, right?
Yep.
I found it out very quickly in Hunter when I was testing it that, yes, it's cool if you get the good one. It copies like the crazy stuff, but really just 2 mana, if they attack in, you get a 3-3 is just great.
Good sequencing from Zhym, though. Just make sure he attacks into the innocuous one first, so it is just a vanilla 3-3, not a poisonous 3-3 or a must-kill 3-3,
Right.
as would be the case with the Hanar.
Almost out of time.
Say the one thing that Viper's got going for him is Zhym has not gone with the Hand of Gul'dan yet. Especially with the second scrap him, it's got to be feeling at least okay for now. He's going to coin into this flick. Which I still think is still reasonable. Although the carpet's got a lot less health, I feel like leaving the carpet up can only give you that out.
Yeah, I agree. And just the fact that it shuts down the other one as well at some point in the game. Like, it's such a high impact card.
And the problem is, it's like, okay, Shield of Galakron. Right, well, what if he's just got a 1-drop? Or something, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so much worse with the carpet on board. I think it's worth committing. And this is just follow-up. There's a fight, you know, the Shield of Galakron plus either Lackey or Redemption, Spire Mistress now. There's still good follow-up turns as well. It's not like he's hindering himself by doing this. I think we're going to see this Zephyrus as just a regular minion.
Too soon.
Depends very heavily on the draws. But I would imagine yes at some point. It's hard to imagine Zhym getting that far through his deck at this point, but it becomes relevant before the game ends.
Share the wealth.
Ooh.
Okay.
So Viper going deep here and just going, oh, if you want to get trade value, then trade into the minion you don't want to kill. I don't know. It does obviously contest the carpet as well, so...
It also changes which minions actually get rush off the carpet. Because it's played cost that matters with Magic Carpet.
Oh, right. Oh, this is weird. But
Yeah.
also there's redemption down, which is going to make... I think my mind just broke.
I know, this turn just got super weird.
I'm sat here going, wait a minute. Who's actually coming out on top here? I'm very confused.
Right.
Huh?
Because I think the answer for Zhym here is just ignore everything and go face. Like, once that attack worked, just be like, okay, fine.
Enjoy.
Yeah, I believe now this Zephyrus will gain +1 attack and shield bearer. Yeah.
I'm a fan of this don't involve yourself with this mess on the other side of the board.
Yeah, I completely agree.
You could even play Shield Bearer and then Expired Merchant to get 2 Soulfires.
I think he's still holding
hold
out
the
for
shield
the Hand of Gul'dan Dream, right?
Oh,
for
yeah,
for another turn or two.
And that's fair, because he also has tap, doesn't he? He can just like tap next turn. He's not under too much health pressure, which means he has 2 goes.
The Merchant
with
also
Expired Merchant.
gets swole next turn. He doesn't want to end the turn with no minions in his hand, right? It seems a bit dumb.
Oh, I actually forgot about the scrapping. There's a lot going on in this game.
I will act as your scapegoat.
It still amazes me that the carpet's on the board.
Yeah, well now it's too late, right? Like, there's so much damage represented. I don't feel like you can just play.
I guess
flip
Coin
it.
Dagger means you can value trade it now.
Job's done.
Oh yeah, I wasn't saying to flick it this turn, by the way. More of just a general carpet that's been alive for a long time.
We're back online!
These 3 things do not play well together.
Although they would have more if
Actually-
the carpet lived, right? That would have been insane.
Well, yeah, so
Oh,
his,
maybe not.
his Expired Merchant discards a Nightshade Matron, but then it gets... Yeah, if the carpet lived, it would have got charge and rush. It would have got rush
Yeah.
and +1 attack. It could have just traded into the Shield of Galakron and he would have got his Nightshade Matron back.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would have been fine.
You're gonna trade first. English means that it's likely something that can attack and go, and that is 11.
So Zhym has 18 this time.
Huh. I think he... Wait. Did he do that a little bit wrong?
What did you want him to do?
Part of me wanted him to just use Soul.
Okay.
I guess it doesn't... I thought you could have Soulfire first, always guaranteed a Matron.
Hmm.
Anyway, and then keep an extra minion on board. It just means that his merchant doesn't get value, but does he need value? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm confusing myself with that turn. It looked weird, but maybe I'm just being silly.
I mean, yeah, no matter what he did, there was something wrong with it, right? Because the 3 cards just don't play nicely
Yeah, of
together.
course. Yeah.
I think this, like, 1 million power in play and 2 more 5/5s to come in his Expired Merchant, that to me looked like the right way to do it. I could be the one getting confused.
Yeah, for me, it's just because you never get the second one anyway, right? Or at least it's very unlikely. Like, the 2 5/5s aren't 2 5/5s, right? They're one discard to the other.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's just like, it's just weird when those 3 cards get played in the same turn, as you said. In the meantime, though, this Generous Mommy's just still there, like, what?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? You played me.
Yeah, that decision for Viper to play the Mummy and leave the carpet up, that really did make the game get very, very weird indeed.
What did you get there?
Disease Vulture?
Oh, okay. Is it a taunt? You'll never know! Wait, what was it? Was that a Kama?
It was a Kama, yeah.
Yeah, well, wow. That was a weird game of Hearthstone. It's very, very strange towards the end there. But yeah, I do wonder if the flick onto the carpet, whether that was us or me specifically, being a little bit, it's a carpet with tons of health and you could just kill them both, or whether it would have actually made a heavy difference in the outcome of that game.
So I think the reason I didn't like that play, and again, I'll start off clean and concise statement. I do think it was the play to flick the carpet
With the coin, right?
With the coin, yeah. But the reason why I can understand not ending up going down that line is that you still just left like 11 power in play, just beating you up at that point, right? And Viper was trying to find a better solution where he can tempo swing over a couple of turns potentially. And I think, you can tell by how hard it was for us to process everything that was going on while we were looking at it. Viper has to process all of that, like which minions do actually get rush when I discount everything? Which minions don't get rush anymore? How likely is he to actually have a strong rush turn if I make his 2 drops cost 1 and his 1 drops cost 0? So I think, in his head, a couple of turns down the line, he perhaps got a better swing with the flick if he did it like that.
Right.
But yeah, I would have flicked him up. And still lost. I think you were miles behind no matter what.
Yes, agreed. But it's all coming down to this one. The first match for these players in the round-robin phase. It's all coming down to the wire here. Is every match we've cast today gone to 5?
I don't think so, no. I think there was 3-0, Boar 3-0'd, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, it feels so long ago now. Yeah, you did, right, you're right. Maybe the Rogue Mirror, though. Based off Asia Pacific, one of the struggling class, but seems to be doing okay, at least in EU.
Yeah, I would hazard a guess it has gone under 50. I'm not sure if that's...
Probably now, yeah. Probably after this series.
Lorinda!
Stats man!
Choose soon.
Zhym does have the Hana, but not a lot else to do, whereas Viper... That looks like an opening hand I want, sort of.
Yeah, it's looking pretty rosy. Lots of options, smooth combo actors, coin available, miscreant in hand. Looking pretty clean.
Even the Guardian, for me, just a completely solid minion from Pharaoh Cat.
I think it can be troublesome in this matchup just because backstab dagger, seal fate dagger, just gets rid of it so cleanly that you get a big tempo loss when you end up playing it.
Yeah, I guess for me, it feels like a nice filler card. Not necessarily something you want to play on curve, but just a good sort of mid-game card to just drop down and make it a little bit more awkward. But there's a secret, and there's a Hana. Not that he has to play it right now, or could play them both right now anyway. But still, are we just going to have a wet noodle fight with 2 Hanas? Just 1-5. Really got to do this, mate? Is it ever too nutty to preload a Bamboozle?
Preload a Bamboozle and then just play the Hana off?
Play that? Oh, yeah.
What?
That's the mind game, so...
No, I don't... I literally no longer understand where your head is even at, Raven.
That's a 5-drop! Oh!
Okay...
Zhym gets it. Bamboozle with Hana on the board.
This is just the dumb game series, apparently.
Is
it Pack Tactics?
Can't play this turn.
Yeah, if he wants to go again, he wants to go 2 mana, 2 mana, or 3 and 1 next turn, right? So they're all viable options, but taking the 3 there locks him into playing a Paladin Secret.
Yep. Most importantly, it's extremely unlikely he gets to do this, right?
That's true, yeah.
I think Viper's swinging into this every day of the week.
That's fair.
In a roundabout way, it's where like a 1-5 here, because it's Hana, is better than a 5-drop.
I love that he just has eye for an eye in play.
Dagger poke. I love the secret package, so...
So many.
See, we could be doing this funny stuff, or we could be like, I can draw 2 cards with my 3 mana, 3/3 guy.
That sounds great. Let's do that instead.
No! I want fun secrets. I want the silliest things to happen. He didn't swing in. Oh, interesting. It's getting very silly, isn't it? Okay, Derek is listening. I want top 5 plays of the week just being each of these players' turns, as it's just more and more secrets, one after the other.
Vetoed.
I want them to just play the whole game out with just Henar and 1 secret. That's a tavern brawl for you right there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Your whole deck is just Henar and secrets.
Turns out Lorinda was listening. Rogue is 3 and 5 today in Europe. So yeah. Sub 50, sure. And that's with mirrors excluded.
I was going to bet you then it would have ended 4 and 6. Guess we're not. Alright, Lysol. I've lost track of all these secrets and what the good things.
Would you like a reminder? We have
give us a refresher.
We have Bamboozle, Ambush, Redemption, Snake Trap on Viper's side, Ambush, Eye for an Eye, Bamboozle, and Pack Tactics on Zhym's side.
And now, Repentance, Zephyrus, Flare. Let's go. Let's go. No, you won't get it.
I think you will with 4 secrets still.
Okay.
But I think you are always playing Repentance anyway, aren't you?
I think I tried this with 3 and it didn't give it to me.
Really?
2 mana. Yeah, I'm being deadly serious as well.
Okay.
That's why I went straight for the Repentance! Because when I tried this, I thought it was a guaranteed flare. Zephyrus slapped me in the face because I was wrong. See? Okay, it does okay.
Choose.
You fell right into my trap.
I think that was a specific IQ patch that went in at some point as well, that Zeph was overvaluing the minion plus destroy 1 secret as opposed to undervaluing Claire. I think that was patched in at some point.
Very annoying to choose Flare and then see all of the secrets proc when you play Zephyrus.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
So now he still has the Flare in hand, but Viper has just seen a Zephyrus get played with 3 mana available, and then the card not get played. So does Viper not keep developing secrets? He even can't. His secret in hand is a Bamboozle, and he still has a Bamboozle in play.
Viper's bamboozled himself.
Zhym's kind of bamboozled himself because his Flare just might not end up doing anything.
I've definitely bamboozled myself. I've got no clue what's going on.
I wonder.
Has Viper hasn't checked for any secret base. Sorry, spell-based secrets, right?
Well, yeah, he's been playing secrets the entire time. They're all spells.
No, sorry. He didn't play any this turn, right? So these.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
what just happened?
I know, this game.
You Shadow Step the Henar to protect it from ambush. Now all I want to see is Zhym Shadow Step to Khan, and then this game gets real spicy. Is that Shadow Step?
That is a Shadow Step.
Oh, yes! Best game of Hearthstone ever.
Glad you're having a good time, Raven.
Isn't this insane though? The fact that you can just Shadow Step this to Khan.
It's pretty
The
good,
Rogue
yeah.
Mirror. What?
He is playing Highlander, though, so he doesn't generate as many lackeys as a 2-ops version. He does have Gun. Or the Edwin.
Nothing.
Or
He Shadow Steps the Takan.
this does seem more sensible, don't you think?
seems more lame, but but yes, this is probably the play that if you want to win this game of Hearthstone, you should do. Normally, one of the huge benefits of playing Highlander Rogue over the 2-of Rogue is Shadow Stepping Zephyrus is insane. So,
yeah.
however much I want to dislike Zhym a little bit more than that, you know, I can't really begrudge him Shadow Stepping a Zephyrus right now. It just hurts to see something that could have been so crazy not be done.
Was he considering re-tempoing that Zephyrus for like a Moonfire or an Inner Rage to deal with the 3-1? That seems kind of insane.
I'm working out that if the Takan isn't killed, Zhym could draw Stunner and use the Repentance to bounce the Takan back to hand.
Raven, this is an intervention, okay? Takan is not happening.
I hope it does now that you've said those words.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting as well because he could have, with the Zephyrus Shadow Step, he could have replayed the Zephyrus and got a different Edwin from this Zephyrus that he replayed. It would have offered him another Edwin.
Yeah.
That he could have played, it would have been +2/+2 bigger because he's replaying the Zephyrus as well, and then he still has an Edwin. I think that play kind of sucks because the rest of his hand is just not an Edwin hand. He'd have another Edwin in his hand at that point. But it's kind of cool. So I thought I'd bring it up.
Well, it's actually something that comes up very often when you do the Zephyrus Edwin turn, right? Because it'll always offer it you. So, yeah, you are right. It's definitely something that's been done before.
Yeah.
Normally in when there's, like you said, a few more access to some maybe lackeys, miscreant, and so on, just a few more options to be able to make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So many.
Now I do want to rewind all the way back to the point where I was talking about how, or you said, you know, he's played his Zephyrus and then all the secrets went off, so his flare wasn't very good. I was kind of expecting Zhym to wait until the Hanar got replayed, right? Because Viper Shadow Stepped his Hanar, but Zhym just went ahead and ripped the flare anyway. So now Viper's kind of back in this spot where he can just go all over again with a whole bunch of new secrets, and Zhym like used his flare to deal with like a 2-secret board where he kind of knew what was up as well in terms of the secret makeup. So I thought that was kind of a neat talking point as well, like whether that was necessary in that spot or whether he could have been greedier with the flare.
Yeah, because once you have a flare, the secrets are always negated whenever you choose, right? So it's like, let your opponent spend tons of mana doing that, and then you just go, no. I guess maybe the point is that Viper wouldn't have necessarily gone that much in, knowing that he had a Zephyrus card that was probably flare. They just wouldn't have done it, I suppose.
I think Zhym would definitely suffer on tempo a little bit as well. Like that Moozle, I think he wasn't dealing with at the time. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of secrets have been played this game, and I'm not quite sure which 2 are in play.
I don't think anyone is at this point, so I'll be honest.
Oh, chat.
Probably not even.
Chat know everything.
Oh, yeah. Wand for Viper looking absolutely fantastic here. One of the, I guess, few games we've cast today where the rogue doesn't seem to have 100 cards in hand. So this wand is actually just raw value right now.
Yeah, they've just had 2 cards in hand. Hanar and a secret. That's all they've had all game.
So, kind of 100 cards.
Yeah.
Zephyrus?
Man, this Taun's got a lot of health.
I wonder.
Your wish is my
Zephyrus even off the twisting?
Whoa! Yeah, Zhym, I'm with you.
I don't think that was ever going to offer Nether, was it?
Yeah, because there's
Board's
one...
too weak.
Well, the board's 2 stacked into 1 minion. There's like a 5/5, and then a bunch of stuff that Zephyrus just thinks is garbage. So why would it give you Twisting Nether when it can give you Natalie Celine, you kill the big minion, your board's huge, their board's tiny.
So
or obviously the choice he picked, which was getting, which is clear all the little stuff off and
choose
1 minion versus your one big minion. Yeah. I don't know. Although Zhym seems surprised, I presume he was looking for Nether. I don't think it's too much of a shock that Nether wasn't given there. I don't think that was one of those ones where you start, posting screenshots and tweets.
More so, I don't even think Nether was a good play there.
It was a lot all in for a 5/5 and a ton of 1/1s, right?
When your opponent has a Wondrous Wand in their hand.
Assassinate was probably just okay, right?
It just seemed like a weird turn to even go for the Zephyrus to me. I don't know, this entire last game of the day is complete. I genuinely don't know what's happening.
That's a good one. So Never Surrender is the secret that is currently live for Viper. There is a second one in hand as well.
Job's done.
Correct.
And Never Surrender was something that I think Derek might have been doing it in testing when I was playing versus him. And when you start chaining them, it's horrendous. You can just never clear the board. It's like I couldn't clear the board, and I thought I had decent options. And if you can keep going Never Surrender into Never Surrender with Hanar obviously sticking around, then there aren't many ways to actually deal with this. And the fact that he has now the dragon on board as well means this board just got problematic post Zephyrus as well.
Life and hope of Will fighting.
The heavens quake as my brood quake.
Chrono Breaker will not have the death rattle here. There's no additional dragon right now.
Nope, and most importantly, there's 10, 11 with Dagger just on board for Viper, and Zhym only on 18, and there is Ethereal lacking. Now there's a Shadow Step. So there are options for him to just try and go for some kind of damage, or at least just push a lot, because maybe outside of these eggs, does Viper need to worry about this board so much?
Looks like we definitely start with Ethereal Lackey. Sap is obviously fantastic against some of this big stuff. Dragon Queen Alexstrasza is a question mark, but the Nidhogg is potentially more appealing to use Sap.
Actually, again, I'm favouring this card way too much. I don't know why. I looked at Shadow for the 4-down.
I agree with all of the words you just said. You are definitely favouring that card too much.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Did he get Turncoat? He did get Turncoat.
Yeah.
The betrayal contract.
Oh, he can kill off the eggs.
Well, you can also just, like, move the eggs and then kill off the other stuff.
Is he scared of the Dragon Death Rattle?
He shouldn't be.
Job's done.
He knows there's nothing generated.
Oh yeah, I guess he'll know,
There
right?
would be a dragon in hand, so he should feel pretty good about it.
That was good. Now Primordial as well. Viper just not letting up on this pressure. Nice to draw even more cards. As well as buff the health on board. And although they might not be the most threatening minions to be buffed, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Which means they're just going to chip away everything.
Yeah, they're still repping 3 damage a turn, which is a big deal right now.
Only a burn on the Pharaoh Cat, not the end of the world at all.
Big Edwin can come down now. Never Surrender in hand. Tricks as well. Yep.
Looks like Viper might just be unrelenting once all that secret silliness was out of the way. Viper might just be pressuring Zhym out of this game and out of this series right now. Because there's no Zephyrus. Zephyrus got played twice this game. Alexstrasza's been played by Zhym.
Sorry,
powerhouse.
just to clarify, Zephyrus got played twice this game for a Flare and a Baron-geddon. Okay, continue.
Okay. And the powerhouse plays of why you play Highlander, Rogue, are pretty much gone. And
yeah.
Viper's just putting his foot down, and I don't really know what Zim's supposed to have left now. Maybe, I mean, okay, that'll do it versus Van Cleef, I guess, but even these one-attack minions, like I said, and this Never Surrender, it just makes them stay. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and say goodbye to your own Van Cleef in that position as well. I know it's, stunned back to your hand for 5, but still a sizable threat later.
He has to do it, right? Oh, is he going for Tog? Come on. Okay, I like it. Maybe this is what he has to do to actually win the game and not just let the game last longer.
Never surrender again. That's a whiff. That is good, but not right now, because he can't load up a secret.
And now. Mana Saber unlocking this.
Yeah,
Stunner
right.
is huge.
Yeah, completely forgot that was a Mana Saber for a second. You are absolutely right. That is such a big deal.
And honestly, silliness of the game aside, props to Zhym there, because he had an option to just kill a Van Cleef, which was the big threat. He went for the option that might win him the game. And it did pay off actually as well, which is hard to do, especially at this point in this specific game of Hearthstone right now.
Yeah, and I apologize. I
going on.
Completely blanked on the Mana Saber. I was very confused about what his outs even were with that Wondrous Wand. But with the Mana Saber factored in, his outs were exactly what he hit in the end, was hitting a Blackjack Stunner. He was able to get that secret down a lot.
And the chance that, of course, Galakron adds to that because it kind of...
Yeah. It's a chance that he gets, like, a big minion, and a Blackjack Stunner, for example. Or, yeah, Galakron and a Blackjack Stunner. He did kind of miss on the big minion part of that equation, but he was able to deal with the Edwin.
And now, though, honestly, I think I'd like Viper to maybe
choose soon.
Edwin, although he doesn't really have the best hand. Maybe because the Edwin costs 5, it can't be as big.
Yeah, I don't think it's getting big enough.
Maybe load up secrets and just push. Tight turn, especially with these secret animations. I hope for Viper's sake all that happens.
Okay. Seems good.
I think you got it all then, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now. Death by 1,000 tiny cuts here is the plan for Viper to deal with Zhym. As these just one-attack minions with a ton of health are getting the job done. And Zhym put a stop.
Which are the perfect counter to Restless Mummy. There's nothing even big enough for Restless Mummy to trade into.
There is now. Just 5 damage there. Nothing from hand yet. Warlock Explorer could open some things up. Oh, never mind.
That's 9. He is fully invoked.
Although that's not strictly lethal quite yet. That's some
That's
card draw
lethal.
that's going to happen. There we
That's
go.
also lethal.
Wow. That's... But anyway, that's going to be a game there from Zhym. Viper takes the series 3-2, and what an ending that was. Frankly, the silliest game of Hearthstone I've cast for a while. But honestly, I don't know about you, Saul. I loved it. I enjoyed every minute.
It was fun. Clearly, our brains are a sentient, vaguely sentient mush with the consistency of like Angel Delight at this point, based on how that went. But yeah, it was an entertaining game for sure. Whenever things just set off with just Hanar into Hanar standoff, just go play secrets. No one's going to be the first to attack. Just an extended game of Hanar chicken for as long as possible. And all the nonsense with the flare, like do you, don't you, and then like Zephyrus into Baron Geddon. Like what?
Yeah.
So many things happened that game. I don't know.
For me, trying to push away all of the craziness, I will say, and I'll just repeat what I said earlier in the game, that that Zephyrus I don't think was ever offering Twisting Nether, and I think that Zephyrus, the 0 mana one, was the point in the game that really could have changed the outcome, whether he played it or not at the start.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't necessarily think it was a good Zephyrus turn, and I think you should have experience to not necessarily expect Twisting Nether there. So yeah, I agree with that assessment. But honestly, like that game was just so divergent and so random and so weird.
Yes.
That, clearly we were lost in it as well. So we can get off our high horse in this one and criticizing any of the
100%.
lines. I think.
Yep. And that is what we had today in the European Masters. Thais took a win over Pavel in a very close series 3-2. Ball control swept Yala to one side, continuing raising questions about this Galacon Warlock Yala has chosen for this weekend. And we had Swids taking down Psycho. I think he had the lineup to deal with Psycho's slower lineup there. And we just had the nuttiness. It was Zhym versus Viper. What do you think of day one now that we're in round robin, Sol?
Yeah, pretty great. Happy to see Ball Control picking up a big win. Obviously, a big fan of his, hoping he's doing well. Sad that Zhym didn't get a win, obviously, with his debut under his new team. But still, overjoyed that he has, joined Barcelona. Much happier when that Frenchman joined Barcelona than when Henry did. I will put that much out there. But still, I think it was a great day overall. And honestly, I'm just excited because we get sort of some semblance of like routine now. Like it really feels like we're in the rhythm of Grandmasters, where we're just going to do this week after week. Hit that groove, know what we're expecting, and what we're expecting is just the very best standard of Hearthstone that the world has to offer.
Right, and that's what we're going to get here in the European region. Unfortunately, that might not continue as we are moving on to the Americas region with TJ and Frodan. So we are done for the day. Glad I've got Bazinga. There you go. Sol and myself, thank you for watching. Hope you had a great time, and we will see you tomorrow. But make sure to stay tuned. As I said, Americas is coming right up, so don't go anywhere. There'll be more Hearthstone. For us, we'll see you tomorrow.